Hi, I'm Adam Khoo, and in this video, I'm going to show you how you can become financially free in 5 years or less, even if you're an average income earner. And yes, it can be done. I've helped thousands of people achieve this in the last 12 years, and I believe that if you are committed to make this happen, you can achieve the same thing. So before we start, I'd like you to pause the video and read this disclaimer. And once you're done, let's carry on. Great. So you want to be financially free. The first thing is to define what that really means. See, financial freedom is when your passive income is able to exceed your expenses. That's when you're truly free. And what's passive income? It is income you earn without having to sell your time for money actively, which means getting a salary from a job, right? Passive income is income that you earn from positive cash flow assets, where your money makes you money. So whether you wake up in the morning or you don't, you're still making money. So assets are things like bonds, company stocks, real estate, fixed deposits, right? This is where you park your money and income is generated every month, every year. So why is it important for you to be financially free? Because when your passive income can exceed your expenses, you are truly free. Every single day you can choose to do what you love. Whether you love dancing, you love fishing, you love teaching, you still work, because if you stop working, you can only sit on the beach for so long. You can only go shopping for so long. Trust me. You can get bored to death and eventually you're going to go back to work. But the difference is now you do what you love. You work on areas which you're passionate about, where you make a difference. And you don't have to stress anymore that I have to work to pay the bills. No, the bills are paid. You work because you're serving a greater purpose. And the most important thing to me is when you're financially free, you're truly secure. See, when you have a job and you get a salary, you do not own your income source. It is your boss that owns your income. And your boss can take it away anytime and replace you and replace me with someone younger, cheaper, and faster. Okay, and to me, that's no security at all. But when you have passive income, right, you have no more fear of losing your job. You have no more fear of cutting your pay. Cut it, I don't care. I'm financially free. And that's the best part about it. See, in the 20th century, seems so long ago, but it was less than 15, 20 years ago. In the old days, there was the concept of lifelong employment, the iron rice bowl, where you could get your company to look after you. The government will look after you, right? See, in the old days, we were told by our parents, study hard, get good grades, find a good job, get in a good company, and you are settled for life, all right? Do as you're told, and along the way, you're going to get promoted. Be loyal to your company, and they'll take care of you for life. And once you reach your 40s and your 50s, you can take it easy, you can slow down, and eventually you can retire with your pension and live happily ever after, right? See, that was true in the old days, but if you are expecting your government or your company to look after you for the rest of your life, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. You're going to be disappointed. Because in today's world, even if you work for a multinational company, even if you work for a government company, there's no more lifelong guaranteed employment. In fact, nowadays, the longer you stay in a company, your value may not increase. The longer you stay, the more expensive you are to be kept, because your salary goes up. And eventually your boss is going to think, hey, I'm not stupid. I can hire someone half your age and half your pay and do the same job and replace you with 3 more people. Okay, and to many people, it happens in their 40s or their 50s. And once they lose their job to someone younger and cheaper, or they lose their income, guess what? They still have bills to pay. They've got debts to service. And that's when they get into financial straits or stress, or they even go bankrupt. And it's happening more and more regularly today because of the changing economy. Banks are slashing jobs every single day. Retailers are closing down. Computer IT companies are slashing jobs. A huge company like Deutsche Bank can see its value drop by more than half in a short period of time. Companies like whether it's Cisco or IBM can retrench thousands of people every single year. So it's not a question of will it happen to me? It's a question of when is it going to happen? Yeah. So you got to prepare before it happens. So if it happens, you don't care. You're already financially free and secure. And unfortunately, when this happens, most people who get hit will be those who are in their 40s and 50s and older. Yeah. So you have to start taking charge of your financial security. I mean, there's no point blaming the government, blaming the economy, blaming the company, because if we blame them, they are controlling our lives. But if we take responsibility, and find our own way, I guarantee you that you can guarantee your own financial security and freedom. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. So stay tuned. So right now, I'm going to show you the 3 steps you can take immediately to move towards financial freedom in 5 years or less. And the first step is to calculate what are your current expenses, and hence how much passive income you need to cover those expenses. So the first thing is to track your monthly expenses. And let's say, for example, you are spending $5,000 a month. Again, it could be $2,000, it could be $10,000, it could be $30,000 a month. Whatever it is, calculate your expenses a month. So for example, for the purpose of this discussion, let's imagine you're spending $5,000 a month. So that's $60,000 a year. So that means you have to generate passive income of $60,000 from some kind of assets that you have. So step 2 is to determine the assets required to generate that income that you require. Now, it all depends on the kind of assets that you have. If you ask most financial advisors and most banks, they'll tell you to go into conventional assets. For example, at the most basic level, you have got time deposits or fixed deposits. Unfortunately, with interest rates at all-time lows, if you can get 2% a year, that's fantastic in most developed countries. So let's imagine in your country, if the fixed deposit rate is 2% a year, how much do you need? Well, you take 60,000, which is the income required, and you divide it by 2%, and that gives you 3 million. So that tells you that, hey, if you had $3 million in cash, you put it in a bank at a 2% interest, that's $60,000 passive income a year. So if that's your expenses, you can stop working on what you don't like and just do what you love and live off that. Now, I think if you're like most people, you won't have $3 million lying around in cash. Okay, so that's going to be challenging. What else can we do? Well, we could put it into another asset called bonds, where you lend money to companies and they pay you interest on those loans. Okay, or you buy companies that pay dividends. Now, if you look at most bonds, the interest they pay and dividends on stocks, the best you can get would be about 5% a year. All right, so if your money can now grow at 5%, you take that same income of 60,000, you divide it by 5%, it becomes 1.2 million. Well, so now you need less assets to make that same passive income. But still, 1.2 million for most people is going to be pretty hard to save up in cash. Okay, because 5% of 1.2 million gives you that same 60,000 passive income a year. Now, don't forget that, hey, if you buy bonds of the wrong company, your bonds can go down in value, right? You buy stocks that when you get dividends, those stock prices can collapse. So there is, risk there involved as well. It's not that every company is going to go on forever. So for just 5% return with that kind of risk may not really be worth it. Okay. So what else is there? Well, let's check it out. The next thing would be to invest in real estate. Or REITs, which are real estate investment trusts. So if you invest in real estate, basically you rent out the property and you collect rental income. So what's the rental return or yield you get from most properties? It depends on the country you're in, obviously. Countries like Singapore, the rental yield is about 2 to 3%. In Malaysia, it's like 5 to 6%. In the UK, it could go up to 7 to 8%. It depends on the country. So let's take an average yield of 7% on terms of rental yield. Okay. So now, if you take 60 grand, you divide it by 7%, that's about $857,000. Okay, which means again, if you have got 800 grand worth of real estate, you rent it out at 7% rental yield, that's 60,000 passive income a year. That's a bit better than what we saw so far, but still, you need to save up about close to $1 million. So the question is there a much better way, right? is there a way we can generate much higher income on lower capital so that you can reach there in 5 years or less and not 10 to 20 years? Most importantly, can it be done safely? Because we do not want to put our retirement, our savings at huge risk where we can lose 50% or 20% if suddenly there's a market crash because of a Brexit event or the wrong person getting elected in the US, for example. We want it to be safe, so no matter what, we are assured that we have our capital. So is there a way? And the answer is yes. So what's the answer? What's the solution? The answer is, are you ready for it? The answer is professional online trading. And let me explain how you can use that to generate really high returns at very low risk. You see, when you know how to trade professionally online in the right way, you can achieve conservatively an average of 5% return on capital a month. So how much return is that a year? Well, if you take 5% times 12, it's 60% return a year. Now, in reality, it's more than 60% because the 5% is compounded, which means, for example, you start with $100 and the next month is $105, 5% return, right? The following month, you're getting 5% return on the $105. So if you compound it, it's something like 72% return a year. But for simple mathematics, let's just take 12 and get 60% return a year on professional online trading. So if you can get 60% a year conservatively, and I'm serious about this, I'm going to show you how it works, and you take that same 60,000 a year of passive income you require, you divide by 60%, that's $100,000 in capital. So now all you need is $100,000 to be financially free. So you need $100,000 in capital to generate $60,000 in annual income. Now, if you spend $10,000 a month and you need 120 grand a year, then you need $200,000 in capital. So obviously, to be financially free faster, you want to spend less. If you spend more, you need to have more capital to generate more income. Make sense? Okay. Now, most importantly, I said that we have to find a way that is safe, that our retirement savings is not susceptible to, a recession or the market collapsing. Well, the way I'm going to teach you is that our returns are going to be recession-proof. We're going to get this kind of returns regardless of what happens in the economy or the market. So how to become financially free in 5 years or less? Well, again, if you save $20,000 a year, and for most people, if you've got an average income, an average household, you can save $20,000 a year. That's less than $2,000 a month if you set it aside. Okay, over 5 years, that's $100,000. And again, with $100,000 to get 5% a month in professional trading, that's $5,000 passive income. So if that's your expenses, you're financially free. You're done. Now, you may say, what's the catch? Can't be all that easy, right? If it's so easy, everyone would quit their jobs and everyone would do this. I'm here to tell you that, yes, there's no free lunch. It is not easy. The third step is you have to master the professional trading strategies that will allow you to do that. You have to do that. And so it takes time and effort to master these trading skills. Because there's no free lunch in this world. We all know that. There's no get rich quick, easy way, because if there is, nobody would bother working. Everyone would stay at home, right? But here's the good news. And I always say that when you first learn something, it may seem difficult. But once you learn, it becomes easy. I mean, the first time I learned to drive a car, I found it tough. But because to me, driving was a life skill, I had to learn it. Even though I failed my driving test a couple of times, I never quit. And today I can drive, and with these driving skills, I've got the freedom. The same is true with trading skills and money management skills. And I can promise you that this skill, once you master it, is the only skill that can guarantee you an income for the rest of your life. See, if you spend all your time and money and you learn a skill called programming or accounting or engineering, right? That can't even guarantee you a job in 5 years because you can be replaced by a robot, an AI, or another person. But when you learn how to trade the financial markets, no one can take away this skill from you. Anywhere in the world, as long as you've got a laptop, you've got internet connection, you can generate income and can be financially free. And you can do what you love. Okay? Now understand what I'm going to teach you in the next few slides and on how to trade professionally and profitably will go against everything many of you thought you knew about stock trading. For example, I'm going to teach you to, ignore the news. I'm going to teach you to not listen to rumors and tips. And you're going to learn that trading has got nothing to do with luck. Okay, maybe in the short term it does. Like, if you buy a stock, it goes up or goes down the next day. It's a bit of luck. But to do it consistently month after month, year after year, has got nothing to do with luck. It's a skill. It's a skill that you can learn. So let's start learning it right now.